Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory. The news is seen by AI, the daily podcast that brings you the latest news stories as analyzed and interpreted by artificial intelligence. I'm Beatrix Kiddo, your host, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today, February 20th, 2025. On today's show, we have some truly inspiring and thought-provoking stories. First up, we'll be talking about a UK Paralympian who has made history by becoming the first disabled astronaut to be cleared for a mission to the International Space Station. This is a huge milestone for both the space industry and the disability community, and we'll be discussing what it means for the future of space travel. Next, we'll be delving into the topic of egg prices and whether backyard chickens are the answer to soaring costs. With more and more people turning to urban farming, we'll be exploring the pros and cons of keeping chickens in your backyard and whether it's a sustainable solution to the egg price crisis. We'll also be taking a closer look at the impact of scented products on indoor air pollution. A recent study has found that the chemicals used in these products can be just as harmful as car exhaust fumes, and we'll be discussing what this means for our health and what we can do to minimize our exposure. In other news, the USDA has accidentally fired officials who were working on bird flu, and they're now trying to rehire them. We'll be discussing the implications of this mistake and what it means for the ongoing battle against the virus. And finally, we'll be exploring the question of who still has a landline phone in 2025. With the rise of mobile technology, landlines have become something of a relic. But are there still some people who prefer to stick with the traditional phone system? So buckle up and get ready for another fascinating journey through the news as we analyze and interpret the stories that are shaping our world. As always, we'll be bringing you the latest insights and perspectives from the world of AI, so stay tuned. In our next story, reported by Harry Baker for LiveScience.com, we have a former UK Paralympian who has been given the green light to undertake a future mission to the International Space Station, ISS, which would make him the first person with a physical disability to travel to space.
Wow, that's amazing. John McFall, 43, is an orthopedic surgeon and former medal-winning Paralympic sprinter who had his right leg amputated above the knee when he was 19 years old after a motorcycling accident. And now he's joined the European Space Agency as part of their FLY program to assess the feasibility of someone with a prosthesis becoming an ISS crew member.
And it looks like he passed with flying colors. ESA announced that McFall has passed the medical tests needed to undertake a long-term ISS mission and is now on the waiting list to travel to the space station.
McFall said that he was hugely proud to be cleared for a future ISS mission and that this is a cultural shift. He's now fully qualified to become an astronaut, but is currently not scheduled for a specific mission. But ESA has previously stated that they want to send a disabled person to the ISS before it's decommissioned, which is currently scheduled to happen after 2030.
McFall is now in line to become the first para-astronaut, but he has pushed back against using the para prefix to describe himself. He said, "I'm not a parasurgeon, I'm a surgeon. I'm not a para-dad, I'm a dad. I think that if we continue to use the para prefix, it probably continues to create a divide, which isn't necessary."
This announcement comes during a period of uncertainty surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion in space, following a wave of controversial changes at NASA imposed by the Trump administration. But all ISS partners, including the US, cleared McFall for a future ISS mission.
It's great to see progress being made towards inclusivity in space travel. I can't wait to see McFall's mission to the ISS. In our next story, reported by Jason Mark for CivilEats.com, we're talking about eggs. But not just any eggs. These are some seriously expensive eggs.
That's right, B. A recent outbreak of avian flu has led to a sharp price spike and sent restaurants and shoppers scrambling for eggs. Social media is awash with reports of bare grocery store shelves. Last week, the average price of a dozen eggs hit $4.95 per dozen, an all-time record. The wholesale price restaurants pay is even higher, recently topping $7 a dozen. Waffle House recently announced that it was placing a 50-cent surcharge on every egg it cooks.
Wow, that's a lot of dough for some yolk. But it's not just the prices that are causing concern. The virus has led to the death of over 159 million poultry livestock in the U.S. over the last 3 years. And while the risks to humans remains low, public health experts are worried that the Center for Disease Control's ability to release updates on the virus might be compromised due to the Trump administration's pause on federal health agency communications.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. But it's also a reminder of some of the inherent weaknesses of an industrialized and highly concentrated agriculture sector. Just 20 firms raise more than two-thirds of the roughly 380 million laying hens in America. And while concentration may lead to efficiencies, it also comes with its own risks, especially with a highly pathogenic virus on the loose.
That's right. When a few chickens get sick in a facility that has millions of other chickens, the whole flock gets wiped out. And when that happens again and again, in state after state, prices inevitably shoot upward. But there are other ways of making an omelet. Smaller scale and pasture-raised poultry operations have shown themselves to be more resilient against the outbreak. And there's another option for maintaining a steady supply of eggs: home-scale chicken flocks.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to have a few chickens in your backyard. The eggs are fresher and you know exactly where they're coming from. But it's important to note that backyard birds are not immune from the virus. In fact, news has come of backyard birds getting sick too. So it's important to take precautions and make sure your chickens are safe.
Absolutely. And it's also worth noting that bird flu has been with us for nearly 30 years now. It's become widespread among wild fowl and has jumped to other animals, including domesticated cows and wild marine mammals like seals and sea lions. And while human cases have been exceedingly rare, the virus can spread by direct contact as well as through the air, which makes it highly contagious. Hey David, have you ever thought about how using scented candles or cleaning products in your home might be contributing to air pollution?
Well, B, I never really thought about it, but according to a new study by Purdue University, using scented products indoors can produce as much air pollution as car exhaust does outside. And breathing in these nano-sized particles could have serious health implications.
That's right, David. The researchers found that scented products, like flame-free candles, are a significant source of nano-sized particles small enough to get deep into your lungs, posing a potential risk to respiratory health.
Wow, I never would have guessed that using a scented candle could be as bad for the air as car exhaust. But it makes sense when you think about it. All those chemicals in the scents have to go somewhere, and apparently they end up in the air we breathe.
Exactly. And the researchers say that using cleaning and aromatherapy products full of chemically manufactured scents to recreate a forest in your home can actually create a tremendous amount of indoor air pollution that you shouldn't be breathing in.
So what can we do to reduce our exposure to these nano-sized particles?
Well, the study suggests that building design and ventilation should be considered to reduce our exposures. And we can also try to limit our use of scented products and opt for more natural alternatives.
That's a good idea, B. I think I'll stick to using essential oils in a diffuser instead of scented candles from now on.
Well, David, it seems like the USDA had a bit of a mix-up over the weekend. They accidentally fired some employees who were working on the government's response to the avian flu outbreak. But don't worry, they're trying to fix it as quickly as possible.
Oh boy, B. You know what they say, oops, my bad. But seriously, this is a pretty big deal. The avian flu has been causing some major problems for poultry flocks, and egg prices have been soaring as a result. I'm sure these employees are crucial to the response effort.
Absolutely, David. and the USDA has acknowledged that these positions are considered public safety positions. They're continuing to hire the workforce necessary to ensure the safety and adequate supply of food. The agency spokesperson also noted that several positions were already exempted from the sweeping cuts President Trump's administration is making across the federal government.
Ah, yes, the infamous budget cuts. But at least the Agriculture Department is prioritizing the response to the avian flu. And it's not just affecting poultry. There have been 68 confirmed cases among humans in the U.S. so far. Let's hope they can get this situation under control soon.
That's right, David. It seems that landlines are making a comeback among parents who want to keep their kids away from smartphones. According to the story, landline connections may be declining overall, but some parents are bucking the trend and installing landlines in their homes.
Wow, B, I haven't heard of anyone using a landline in years. But it makes sense that parents would want to limit their kids' exposure to smartphones. After all, research has shown that kids who spend too much time on their phones are more likely to experience poor mental and physical health.
Exactly, David. And some parents are taking a more extreme approach by not giving their kids a phone at all. Instead, they're using landlines or dumb phones that can only be used for calling and texting.
I can see the appeal of that, B. It's a way for kids to stay connected with their friends without all the distractions and potential dangers that come with smartphones. Plus, it's kind of retro and cool, don't you think?
Haha, I suppose it is, David. And it's not just landlines that are making a comeback. Physical magazines, Polaroid cameras, and even Walkmans are becoming popular again among Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Wow. I remember having a Walkman when I was a kid. It's funny how things come full circle. But back to the story, it seems that parents are really taking an active role in their kids' technology use, which is great to see.
Definitely, David. And it's not just about limiting technology use, but also making sure kids are engaging in other activities that promote a healthy mind and body. The Parenting Place chief executive, Dave Atkinson, suggests delaying giving kids a smartphone until year 9, but also recognizes that this may not be realistic for everyone.
Right, B. It's all about finding a balance and making sure kids are using technology in a safe and responsible way. And if that means bringing back the landline, then so be it.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo, and I hope you enjoyed our dive into the world of news and current events. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. And remember, while AI technology is constantly improving, it's always important to fact-check news summaries before sharing them. On this day in history, in 1962, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth, marking a major milestone in space exploration. Join us again tomorrow for more news and insights as we continue to explore the complex and ever-changing world around us. Until then, stay curious and stay informed.